Amy's off today, and today we're going home for the night. But before we left town, I thought today would be a perfect day to check out the Mobile Medical Museum.
You certainly need a lot of paraphernalia in your trade.
Yeah, cymbals, chimp, bongo, tambourine.
What are these things?
These are claves.
What are they for?
Set a rhythm to the Latin American stuff. Here, let me show you. See? Very simple.
Very simple.
I was staying in this museum for a day when Amy was off because this is right up her alley, so I knew she would probably want to come see this for herself. Looks like we're fixing to enter a two-story house. The sign out by the road clearly denotes this is the medical museum. The very first room that you come into is a traveling exhibit, which is all about optometry or your eyes. They have a lot of different artifacts here, like these eye wash cups from the early 20th century. Indian spectacles with square etched lenses from the 19th century, that's right there. Square etched lenses. 1880 Chinese lenses. Here's a trial lens case. 1717 is the date on that lens case. Here's a tool here used to remove a cyst from an eyelid. This one they use in cataract surgery. Iris scissors, corrective surgery on the cornea. A hook retractor. Oh, this room is pretty cool. First thing, they have these two giant anatomical models here. These things were part of the medical college that was located here in Mobile. It's no longer located here though. It has since been moved to Birmingham. Here's these models. They even put facial features on this one. And they made it lifelike. Here's another cabinet here. First monaural stethoscope, 1816. Look at that one, 1828, nickel plated. That looks like the ones we know today. You only see these in movies. These with the giant light or mirror round thing on their, hang on their forehead. There's a mercury blood pressure cuff. Typical duties of a late 19th century nurse: cleaning, lighting, and heating wards, giving baths and massages. Heck, nurses don't give you a massage anymore these days. Why not? Here's some scissors and some turpentine. A female urinary catheter. Here's a bath thermometer and a bedpan. There's a pharmaceutical scale and a medical bag. When making house calls on horseback, they would carry all their medicines in one of those. Here's some old wheelchairs sitting here. That's cool. Oh, look at this picture. I guess they had a cadaver that they were experimenting on at the medical college. Here's their toolkit here. These bones over here, these are real human bones. Like this adult skull here. Skull cap of an adult female. And these are children's. You see that their skulls had not fully fused together. Here is a human spine. This is it looks like an amputation kit. This is a Civil War amputating kit with a bone saw, this band in here, tourniquet, needles, and all different kinds of saws. There's a picture of just a bunch of severed limbs. Here's some more here. A bullet extractor, screw tourniquet, the mini ball. As a result of the advent of the mini ball, surgeons were often referred to as butchers and sawbones. Here's an old nurse's uniform. Look at this enema syringe. Can you imagine? And here's a skull saw from 1820, a bleeding bowl. And here's a fun fact. This barber bowl doubled as a bleeding bowl. Barbers often perform bloodletting procedures too. The red and white stripes of a barber's pole represents the blood and bandages used during bloodletting. There's a German anatomy card. Glasses are suctioned to the skin by either heating or with a pump. Can be used alone or in conjunction with scarification for bloodletting. This instrument was used to create small holes in the skull. It required 2 hands to operate and was inaccurate for applying pressure. It was also previously believed to cure headaches, epilepsy, and keep evil spirits away. Wow, it's basically a drill. This is an irrigation kit probes for irrigating the vaginal and rectal canals. Here's one of those things that they smack you on the knee with, test your reflexes. A fetal ventilator. This is the obstetrics and gynecology. Tumor forceps. Smelly's forceps. I guess that looks like that would grab a hold of a baby's head and pull. Electric sterilizer for hypodermic needles and syringes. Tonsil guillotine, a thyroid retractor, tonsil and nasal snare wires, and a nasal saw to remove foreign bodies from the nose. There's something right out of the Saw movies. That's a mouth gag. And here's a doctor's headlamp. Nasal speculum, glyceptic nebulizer, tracheal tubes for opening an airway, audio test, mid-20th century. And this was a catheter from the 1800s. I guess this is their surgery. And this is a miniature cystoscope, mid-20th century. Murphy buttons used during intestinal surgery. A rib spreader, that's intestinal clamps. There's another rib spreader there. Nerve hook, deep dissection, scalpel, alligator, removal of disc tissue, remove muscle away from the bone there at the end. Check this out. This was actually one of the very first x-ray devices. And actually the doctor wore this on his head as pictured here. The doctor could put it on his head and x-ray a part of the body, and that would allow him hands-free surgery while viewing a real-time image of the patient's body. That's pretty neat. Here's some kind of machine that fluids or air or something transferred through. These are real skeletons. They're not dummies. This was thought to be a male and this one was thought to be a female, but these are real human skeletons. Look how it's mounted. They drilled a hole in the skull of it. And here's a 1930s anesthesia machine. If you had to go into surgery, one of these would put you to sleep. This entire section right here, this is all crock medicine. These are medicines that were sold over the counter that they didn't really work. A vapocresylene lamp, or some kind of laxative. This is the electrete method. Here's a book telling you how to start, where you can put where to put it for stiff joints or pain, those type things. A violet ray, I guess that's like an x-ray. Here's an oxydonor victory. Here's a flyer for it actually. Oxydonor victory. Supplies oxygen to the blood. That thing right there supplies oxygen to your blood. 11 Swecker was a homeopathic device developed by a German inventor. This was thought to cure arthritis. Swamp root. With the rise of the advertising industry in the years after the Civil War, patent medicines were sold over the counter as cure-alls, diuretic to kidneys and mild laxative. Old Taylor straight Kentucky whiskey. Liniment. Early anesthesia. Ether and chloroform, ethyl chloride. That's an intubation set back there in the back. Analgesia anesthesia. This is for tooth removal, 19th century. Can you imagine having a tooth yanked out by one of those? 4% cocaine. And there's some Novocaine. They have a dental chair here from 1909. While I was researching online, one thing kept popping up about this place, and it was that they actually had a 1950s iron lung. This is it here. In the 50s, when the polio epidemic was in its heyday, it would leave a patient's diaphragm paralyzed, cause it so they couldn't breathe. So they would go to the doctor where they would get placed in this machine. They would get put in this machine. They would have to lay in there, and they couldn't come out until they were completely healed, which would take 4 to 6 weeks sometimes even. Their head fit through the slot and lay here on the outside of it. They would be strapped down inside of here, so they couldn't move anywhere. They would have to sit on a bedpan inside of it. They would be sealed up, and they would have to stay in here until they were healed. During that whole time though, they would still have to eat, and they would use the bathroom, and they would have to take baths. So nurses would use these portholes here to be able to still tend to the patient, to whatever person was inside of it. Here's a picture on the wall here behind it. This is the Iron Lung Ward in the 1950s. According to this, well, right there it says Rancho Los Amigos. That sounds like that's probably somewhere in California. Basically, their diaphragm wouldn't expand and contract. So they would get in this machine and it would be sealed up airtight. This motor down here at the bottom would kick on, which would engage this lever, which caused it to do this action here, with it being airtight inside, that forced air in and out of your diaphragm, causing you to be able to breathe. Here is an even older wheelchair than what we saw earlier. This kit here, this is a Chinese surgical kit from World War II. Emergency War Surgery, NATO Handbook. World War I venereal case. This is a World War I U.S. Army first aid kit. And this is a World War I surgical kit. Look how much they had. Here's a manual breast pump. Here's a thumb guard for prevention of thumb sucking. Hell, they need those today. And there's a scale. This little thimble looking thing here, this is the Star Edwards valve. This was the first item to be implanted in a human being. The procedure was done by a surgeon in South Africa in the early 1960s, and then the patient only lived for 2 days afterwards. After he passed, his remains were shipped back to his home in North Carolina. The pathologist removed the valve during an autopsy. Not only do they have an iron lung in this place, they also have what's called a cardiopulmonary bypass machine. It's right here. In the 1940s, cardiac surgery started gaining momentum. In the 1950s, cardiac physicians realized that a heart-lung machine would be required for the majority of cardiac cases. This machine here was used in the University of South Alabama Medical Center from 1969 to sometime in the 1980s. During those kind of operations, though, the heart and lungs are paralyzed. This machine functions as the heart and lungs by pumping oxygen-rich blood to and from all parts of the body, allowing surgeons to resolve issues with your heart. So that's it for the Mobile Medical Museum. We are getting out of here and we are headed back to Montgomery for the night. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video now. I wanna thank you all for watching. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up button down below to like this video. And if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, you really should be, so you don't miss out on any of our adventures. I'll see you again tomorrow. I hope you have a great day.